This month, the United Nations here in Geneva allocated 2 days on proposals on how to reach a globally acceptable agreement to manage the refugee situation. The Holy See Geneva delegation brought in their expert from Rome to address the Human Rights Council.
Addressing the root causes of large movements of refugees requires courage and political will. Open questions must be resolved by means of diplomacy, dialogue and prevention, which are also basic requirements in the promotion of integral human development.
Father, talking about the root causes that seem to be ongoing, is it realistic to think that they can be reversed or eliminated after all these many years where they continue?
Well, the answer is clearly yes, because the world community committed itself to addressing these root causes. The root causes are the same as the topics of the Sustainable Development Goals. So if you ask, is the world serious about the Sustainable Development Goals? God bless and hope that we really are. And if we address the Sustainable Development Goals, we will address the root causes of the forced movement of peoples.
The Holy See believes that the increase and sales of arms, especially in the home countries of refugees, is one major obstacle to the creation of peace.
It is because in today's world, behind the scenes, there are interests, geopolitical strategies, lust for money and power, and there is the manufacture and sale of arms, which seem to be too important.
Are there any initiatives by the Vatican that you would like to mention about dialogue and reconciliation?
Well, the dialogue and reconciliation are certainly key to resolving many of the conflicts. I would maybe highlight the ongoing involvement of the Holy See in South Sudan, accompanying a difficult process which shows often 2 or 3 steps back and only half a step forward, but we continue. And that's one example of where a dialogue has to be fruitful, because nothing else is going to bring the parties together.
Also, to be an example, like Pope Francis took in families from Syria, and he asked even dioceses in Europe to take in one family.
Yes.
That was difficult, probably. Not many dioceses really responded to that.
Well, that's where I think we have an important role to tell that, in fact, it's not so difficult, and more dioceses, more parishes, religious communities, faithful associations have done this and are finding ways, even when the national legislation doesn't make it too easy, they are finding ways of being helpful. I think the story of people's willingness to respond and the creativity with which they respond is an important part of the story.
It seems, though, that many countries are making it almost easy for forced migrants to remain in the host country. But as part of a solution, shouldn't countries instead encourage and promote people to return to their country of origin? I think, again, a good example is when the war in Aleppo was declared over, that over 500,000 people, probably by now it's almost 1 million, returned to the city to help to build the city up. Instead of staying in foreign countries, and supporting they supported their own countries.
I think that many of our viewers would be surprised if they heard how high a proportion of people on the move actually would prefer to stay home. And if you ask yourself, would you like to stay where you live, or would you like to move quickly? Would you like to be forced to move? Most people would say, no, I want to stay where I was born, where I grew up, where I have my friends, my family, my future. But if you don't have a future, you can't stay. And so appreciating that people want to stay where they're from, and that the forced flow is actually a terrible thing to have to undergo. I think that will make of us a more compassionate church, and hopefully also readier to help in constructive ways.
During the discussions, everyone were reminded of the New York Declaration, according to which states committed themselves to working from the beginning of a refugee situation to support conditions in countries of origin for return in safety and dignity. In the meantime, the Holy Father proposed to all the dioceses, parishes, religious communities, Catholic associations, the world's governments, and the UN Global Compact's procedures to welcome, to protect, to promote, and to integrate refugees.